Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your...
I gotta start pausing on these.
Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way...
Level 1, so uncut is probably just reflected off zone level for what gem is going to be identified
they
from
work.
It.
If you find a support gem, then right-clicking
it
will
quality?
open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support...
Faster Proj is a 120 multi. It adds 5 decks to the requirement, so it's not a per... That's interesting. The attribute requirement for supports is not per gem, as far as if I'm interpreting this correctly. It's also more proj speed, not increase. That's good. But if I'm interpreting this correctly, it's additive, the increase throughout the support links. That's kind of interesting. By gem color, yeah. Well, this would be dex then, so you get an added int then. If
support gem, clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of
area of effect, 120 multi, more AoE. This is already at level 1 better than a 2120 increased area of effect gem. Yeah, I would assume the plus int requirement scales off gem level, yeah. Generally, multiplier does not.
Recommended support
base cost. Multiple projectiles looked really bad, because it was 20% less damage and less attack and cast speed for 2 proj. But this is level 1 with 0 quality, so if this scaled up to like, I don't know, if 2020 was like 3 proj with 10% less and 10% less, that'd be pretty good probably. It's hard to judge some of this stuff though, basing it off of like PoE 1 numbers, because maybe support gems overall will be lower power level, it's hard to say. The AoE doesn't look lower power level.
Gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally when you fire a grenade it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high velocity round skill.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have 1 of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to... supports can
Notice that none of these icons... I wonder what this is showing. None of these icons are lit up right now.
Used best with each...
But attrition is lit up.
Skill for maximum damage.
And so these must be auras, I'm guessing. Attrition and overwhelming presence must be auras. That must be what's reserving his spirit, because, like, they have the this is enabled effect on them. But this has 3 links to it, and this has 1. Unless that, no, that might just be the same one. Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, that's also the same. So this has 2 links, this is 0. Gem capacity? Yeah, that's basically just how many links you have. So it should go up to 6 link.
Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 support. And even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to...
Mana cost 19. This is a level 31 character, apparently. Okay. I'm assuming that's unsupported completely. It costs 18 mana at level 31. That's fairly high. Especially if it scales more with gem level.
To 5 supports socketed into it. And if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic.
when they moused over these initially, it looked like the very first node was higher power. Like, I'll double check this, but I recall seeing the attack speed one that it was like 3%, 3%, 3%, but the first one was 5%. I wonder if that'll be kind of a choice people make to essentially take the entire inner ring because they're like, 60 or 100% higher stat weight. Like, if it applies to your build, you should just like take the starters. How that felt. You should just like take the starter points. Demon with the 2-month sub, thank you. Well, I'll double check if it's actually higher, because if it is, that might be a real thing people do, is just take like all the starting ones.
Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated.
Here, it's interesting where... Okay, I'm assuming, looking at this, that it only displays the mastery icon on the ones that he's allocated. Because, like, clearly this should be a mastery based off the structure of the nodes. Clearly this should be, like... He doesn't have the mastery here, but I would assume this is a mastery. So it must just be, like, in the Pee-wee 1 skill tree on Path of Building, for example, like this is the same icons as the real tree, but you can see the emblem for the mastery at all times. That appears to be gone here, and only appear when you actually allocate it. But I'm assuming all of these have masteries that he's not taking. No masteries? What do you mean no what do you call these? What are these? Looks pretty mastery to me. Notables? No, these are notables. That's a notable. That's a notable. That's a mastery. It's in the center of a wheel. They say there are no masteries. Like, that can just boil down to what they're calling it, though. Like, they could rename masteries to blasteries and then say there's no masteries, but there's this thing called blasteries that's the exact same thing. And then, like, technically they're correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are masteries.
Intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts...
Did that do damage? It looked like it did damage, but I don't think anything died. Alright, there's 3 targets.
Each level you get...
He's gonna hit the first one and kill it. He's at 99%.
1 point to put in...
There's no HP bars showing, so it's hard to see.
Into the
I don't think these guys took any damage, but I can't see.
Tree. Each class starts at a different location.
Maybe because the first one took 2 hits to kill, and the second one each died in 1 hit, so maybe it did like half their HP.
But they all share the same tree.
Okay, he just moused over it.
Point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the
That's some sweet art, by the way, for the monk.
same tree.
Plus 5 ES and 8 energy shield's incredibly weak, but at low level, that's decent. I doubt these scale with level, though, so that's like some kind of auto take at super low level that you just immediately unspec when you get higher level. It is only 3%, never mind. I must have missed seeing it the first time. Yeah, it's just 3. I thought I saw 5 the first time.
Around your section of the
Yeah, they're
tree,
all
you'll
3.
find
Never mind.
relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge.
How good is that, like,
Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character.
The node power seems a little bit lower than Pee-wee 1. Like, in Pee-wee 1, all those points would be like 12%, and they're like 10% now. 5 dex and int is effectively... Attributes are like twice as good in terms of how much they actually give you. Like, the... mana and energy shield you get from 5 int in Pee-wee 2 is like what 10 int is in Pee-wee 1. So effectively, this is 8% attack and cast than 10 dex and int. Which is like... These are all probably like 20% lower power level than like Pee-wee 1.
should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong
That's incredibly weak, unless mana regen's like the best stat in the game.
choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret,
Hey, it's the guy from the trailer. I wonder if we join him, considering you're buying spoilers.
you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
This is a really high gold. Oh, I was reading this earlier as like, oh my god, it's 4k gold to unspec, but no, it's clearly only 97 because he has 4k and it's going down to, yeah, 93. As a period player, my personal goal is to reduce the number of in-game actions to receive the, yes, correct. You want the least buttons and the most zoom. There's a 70% ES wheel for 3 points. Mr. Poopy McPooperson, thank you for your subscription. This guy needs those cheese advertisements.
Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster,
They just talked about races? Okay, well, I'll cross it off on the bingo card, but I'm gonna be honest, it's hard to watch that interview. I don't think I'm alone in that. It's so low density of information and then just glaze in between.
Find small nodes that give simple bonuses like
2915, alright, we'll get there. For the crazy power node.
increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally
See? This is a notable. This is a notable. That clearly is a notable, right? Like, you know, remember what I was saying 5 seconds ago? That these are not notables. These are notables. That is a notable. That is a notable. This is definitely not a notable. I would call that a mastery. But I'm sure it's just semantics.
useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
They're all the same? Okay, well that one there is showing that there's only one option, so maybe. So why does this one get a different icon, but then, like, this, like, some of them don't. Like, this one doesn't have anything, any effect on it. These have no special effect, but, like, this one gets an effect? What's the difference? It has to mean something. Like, the difference in like, background has to represent something.
Now, the tree is generally...
Because Jonathan's a goblin and thought it was a good idea. I mean... Whenever I'm analyzing something for PoE, I almost always approach it from the mindset of it makes sense for some reason. Like, you can apply logic to it. A lot of games, that's not the case. Like, if I'm analyzing someone's plans for an upcoming balance patch in Diablo 4, I don't view it through a lens of it has to make sense because they would never do something that doesn't make sense. No, they would definitely do something that doesn't make sense if it was like some short-term money. Absolutely. For PoE, I generally view things as if it's different, there's a reason for it, and it will be in a way that makes sense.
generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster, you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses.
Blind on hit is an interesting node to mouse over when you tout interesting bonuses.
And they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades
Blind's a lot
chance to
stronger
blow up
in
a
PoE
second
2.
time.
For blind to be usable, it would have to literally make the target blind.
This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely.
Which weirdly is an
Note that even though
unreasonable
this is in
assumption
the
to make.
mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes.
Why is this character slowing down when he's activating a skill. They said that you can shoot while moving, but I'm pretty sure there's a movement penalty associated with doing that, and it's not full speed.
So there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your
Oh, hang on, I didn't see that one.
gear might pick which attribute you would like to use. So it's very easy to...
That's super weak as well. Depends. Does crit still apply ailments or not?
get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger
Poison,
assets
I guess?
called keystones. Keystones have both an
It doesn't, they said? Okay.
upside
From a
and
balance
downside,
standpoint, that would maybe make
and
more
often
sense.
require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood.
Dude, Titan's Grip has arrived. I'm ready.
Which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand
makes
mace
sense.
with a shield, or even
Oh, let's see some stats.
but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand mace.
Two-hand shield sounds better. Because, like, dual wield bonus is not very high. And the damage difference on a lot of pure fizz weapons especially, not so much LE in PoE 1, but that might be totally different in PoE 2. Generally, the, like, damage difference is considered about 70%. But the penalties, you lose a shield, which is very strong. So, like, if a notable said double attribute requirements deal 70% more damage, that would be such a no-brainer for any attack build.
With a shield, or even dual wield them.
122 fizz roll. 3.5% leech is insane. We were seeing some 100k hits. I guess this is pre-leech suppression. That must make sense. So it must be such a high percentage so that it does something at low level. And then higher level monsters, when you're hitting for 100k, must have like 90-95% leech suppression to balance it out. Which will eventually get completely overwhelmed and still be like infinite.
Well, how about
What was the base block chance on that shield? 26, so that's probably the exact same as PoE 1.
how about Mind Over Matter?
Bosses are balanced around crowd control too. I think from what we've seen, like in PoE 1, you're very limited in the ways you can crowd control or even inflict ailments reliably on bosses. And I think as part of their push to make combat more engaging, they're trying to make that a more critical role in boss fights. I think the way they're structuring it is still make it impossible for you to have permanent negative effects on the boss, like perma-freeze, perma-stuns off the table, but to make them cyclical and have like, you know, like build up for a freeze, build up for a stuns, that they still impact the fight but don't give you some sort of cheese immunity. I'm like 99% sure, based off all the gameplay I've seen, that that's the target, and that's probably more interesting than the PoE 1 system for boss fights, so I'll be open-minded to it.
Which makes all damage go to your mana pool first, before your life pool.
We'll have to see what numbers we can get on this.
But you lose 50% of your mana.
Because 50% less mana recovery rate, assuming things are consistent with priority and multipliers in PoE 1, this would make you leech 50% less. However, that does not, in PoE 1, affect instant leech. So remember that Dark Monk we got that had instant mana leech? In PoE 1, leech rate recovery modifiers, any generic global recovery modifier is applied blanket on top of leech rates. So if you do a map right now and you do 60% reduced recovery, your 20% life leech becomes 8%. That does not apply anything at all whatsoever to instant leech though. Instant leech is still 1% per hit because it's not a rate, it's an instant. So That Dark Monk with instant mana leech might just be like Giga Cheese for Mind Over Matter.
Skills like these can be tough to build.
Less critical damage bonus when on full life. Someone was saying earlier there's a difference between critical damage and critical damage bonus, and to me that doesn't make any sense. I would read this as critical damage bonus is just literally the more damage you do with crits. I don't really understand how it could be something different, but if someone has a different explanation, I would love clarity there.
Around. But if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding.
Tiffy is subscribed. 4 months, thank you. Dark Monk or Gem Mercenary, who's better? My understanding is the Gem Mercenary is better endgame and has a miserable leveling experience. But then Dark Monk might be a little more universally good, so it probably has a smoother progression and a lower ceiling. All of this is based off of the most recent balance and could completely flip 180 with a few numerical tweaks going into the patch. So we have no clue until we see hard numbers. But
as we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly.
Dark Monk base having ward. I'm gonna pause so hard on all those Dark Monk nodes because those were by far the most interesting and abusable
skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you...
Was that increased effect of Ignite? Hold up,
the
what?
new features in Path of Exile 2's passive...
I misread that.
...tree is that...
Maybe I read words differently than others. But does that not read literally as more damage? It's a damaging ailment. The ailment is a damage per second. Is that not just more damage? What else could that possibly mean? I guess maybe the counter argument is that this is replacing dot multi. That would be the balance decision. Or it's not replacing dot multi. Dot multi is still a thing, and now you can get fire damage, ignite effect, and dot multi, and have 3 scaling vectors instead of 2, which means ignite builds can officially do big damage endgame, which they haven't been able to do for 10.5 years. The ignite change, I mean maybe the actual numbers change, but the mechanic itself is the same. It's just bonus damage instead of multiplier, aka 100 crit damage bonus would be the same as 200 crit multi in PoE 1. Okay. So you're saying because it's 50% base and a baseline crit does 1.5 times damage, aka plus 50%, the 50 is the bonus. And by going to 1,000% increased bonus, that 50 becomes 500. Therefore, your total damage with 1,000% increased crit effect is now 600%. That seems really illogical for that change to be made because to me that makes less sense than the current game's crit multi, which they deliberately changed years ago to have more consistent wording for understanding how it works. That to me makes significantly less sense to a new player, and even for a veteran player that doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, that's strange. Oh, you're saying there's multi and effect? Wait, what? You're saying I can get 50 crit multi, go get 100 more, and then get 100 crit effect, and now it's 300%? They're both multiplicative with each other? What? Dude, and people think we're gonna be not doing shapers per second. Holy fuck. We got ignite effect, dot multi, crit effect. Dude, we're going to be doing New Zealand's per second. Jesus Christ.
You can choose to have your...
All 3 of these are ignite effect. In stack node? You're saying this one? Maybe. Could be, yeah.
Your passive tree change.
Dude, and ignite steal damage faster. Dude, imagine just having 100 ignite effect, 100 dot multi, Ignites deal damage 100% faster. Like, what the fuck? PoE 2 is ruthless. PoE 2 is ruthless. The fuck out of here while I 64-bit integer overflow you with Ignite.
Change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the sorceress, you might
Oh, what was that last one?
weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses.
It does seem like the cluster nodes are more valuable. The generic nodes tend to give
On
about 10%. But this one, because it's on the outside of the tree and part of a cluster, these seem to be better. So 12 seems to be the normal amount here. But this end node
the tree.
was kind of interesting. I like that one. I see. Hey, what's this guy over here? Now, I'm just spitballing here, but I have a suspicion that there might be some synergy 3 points away. What? Excuse me? What? Mjolnir Instack login. What the
For the
fuck?
sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization. Or you could switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace.
Okay, what is this number? I saw this during the trailer,
Setup in order
but what is this stacking number? This isn't the stagger, I don't think, because it goes from 2-something to 760 to
be able to block
1080,
boss attacks while
1020.
following up with heavy hits from
Is this like the current bleed or something? Like you can actually, like, what is this number? Armor break? Oh, that makes sense. It looks like an armor icon. Or maybe, I would think this is the crushing blow effect. And then this is armor break. Crushing blow armor shred, maybe?
your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build from
What is this movement pattern? Okay. What the hell is she doing? Look at her footwork. Look at nothing else. But what the fuck is this?
So you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage.
She's just doing like the electric slide.
If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use the specialization points as bonus.
Just strafing. Holy, we're just full metric system now. 6M. That means 6 miles here. Shit, you're telling me I gotta get 6 miles away for 25% crit chance? Fuck, I'll do it. I got a long barrel.
Bonus points to invest however you like, but creative players will find plenty of opportunities
2 miles seems a little more doable.
with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign.
Cowbell.
From optional bosses and
I'm gonna call it
quests.
cowbell the
For
entire
example,
time. Don't you
if I
dare
manage to
correct
defeat
me.
the crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book.
So you get, these are just the swap ones that you get from the campaign. You get up to 20.
There are lots of other permanent
Perma-res.
boosts available from
2
the campaign
McDonald's
too.
away. That's true.
On the map, you can
But
see
they didn't
icons
use
that indicate
the fancy
many
yellow
optional
M, so
encounters
it
you
can't
can
be
find.
McDonald's.
Some of them have permanent character
Branding's
boosts,
important here.
and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example,
Alright, the 8% is clearly chill. I'm guessing this is build up to get to 100% to trigger a freeze. That would make sense to me.
if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent
It's basically like a
increase to
stagger
fire
for freeze.
One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1.
So he's
Defeat the
20%
boss in this
crush.
area to
That's
acquire
probably just minus
permanent additional
PDR.
Spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from Spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most
What
important
do you do
element
with
of
the...
character progression, items. That's
Someone
why
said it
we're
was
all here, right?
29:15. I need
Items
to
in
pause.
Path
I'll
of Exile
remember
can be
that.
broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare,
What's
and
base
unique.
armor on these?
Right. And you can do that with...
Oh, hang on. I went
One
too
of the
far.
things you're going to want to do as you play through the magic, rare, and unique.
Does he not mouse over the chest?
One of the things you're
No,
going
he
to want to
doesn't.
do as you
Wow.
play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find. And you can do that with...
There's not much to
magic
see
item with
here.
Regal Orb to add a 3rd mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods.
81 weapon Ellie though is a pretty high roll for a level 33 weapon. I think this is maybe a trend I've kind of seen hints of, that weapon damage mods are more significant, because like right now the way the game is in PoE 1, your flat damage on an attack skill comes from weapon, and all the percent rolls are insignificant. So if you have a build that gains flat damage from another source, like say Archmage for example, or Trauma, Energy Blade, whatever, Auras, your weapon stats are fairly irrelevant. Because they just don't really contribute that much. Like the top weapon Ellie roll on a two-hander is like 100% at like item level 86. Which compared to like a full passive tree giving you like 600 to 1000% is pretty insignificant. So if we're just seeing a random Exalted Orb hit 81 weapon Ellie on a level 33 weapon, I tend to think they're going to up the weight of percent increase mods on weapons to make them more significant, which I think is a good change. Percent number is armor reduction, as Crushing Blow is meant to stack up to increase stun effect. Then what was the flat number? What was that like building 2000 number then?
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more
but
common
what level
than
is
they
he
were in Path of
here?
Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign.
This is either a really dark zone in Act 2, or it's a later act in Act 3.
We want you to find things...
Charm slots 1. So there's an implicit mod for charm effect duration. I'm curious on the charms if they're going to implement the no fun rule of cooldown does not reset during effect. Because that's like the wet blanket way to balance something so that you cannot achieve perma. I really hope that doesn't exist. Because I'm a degenerate shitlord that wants to one-button everything and be immune to everything. Like everyone. So, hopefully, the cooldowns on shrines do trigger during their effect, and with enough crafting and item scaling, we can get perma.
on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades.
Darkness Reservation lasts 10 seconds on Dark Monk, right? I'll read over that in detail when I get there. I didn't remember enough on the first pass through live. Is there an Ascendancy point that reduces? I'll see when I get there.
As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can...
39 flat rarity on a flat energy shield on a level 23 base. Like, I remember seeing like a terrible rolled chest in Act 3 that was like 250 energy shield. Like it's a level 30 chest that was like 250 energy shield. And it like did not have good rolls either.
Also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic...
What was the chest base mods?
You can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the
163 evasion at 23 is pretty low.
magic item vendor.
Well, I guess we don't know the weighting. We don't know how much evasion percentage that is.
If you
It might not be anything like
items, you can
PoE1.
build up to an orb of transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets.
3719, level 20. Double 18 res roll is pretty high for a level 20 item, but maybe that's like double max.
Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite.
Do we get minus resistance debuffs, I wonder? Because, like, you know, Kitava, the second time, you get 30 and then 60% reduction of Res. But, like, they showed some of the quest rewards giving you just, like, flat cold res as a permanent bonus to your character. I wonder... Like, it would seem to me like if there's a plentiful amount of those, it will be pretty pointless to get much res unless there's some negative debuff coming in later. But, the other thing, too, is, I wonder if there will be something like Doriani's, where a side quest gives you 15 lightning res, where like those characters deliberately don't take it, and if you can like unspec it, like, or if you're just you have to re-level if you accidentally took it, you know. What is automod? It means that Twitch's algorithm has a very wide net of terms, and it will trigger basically anything. So like if I type in someone's chat that I only use Righteous Fire to kill white monsters, and I use Fire Trap for rare monsters, the automod will trigger and say, yo, this one mana left guy wants to kill whites. Do you want to ban him? And the streamer has to go like, no, it's okay to kill whites. And then allows the message. So yeah, they've had that for like a year now. It's silly, but
runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance.
okay, it's 2 mods. It doesn't seem like there's rarity tiers, like you can have more than 2 mods.
This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items.
Okay. The cooler jeweler's orb.
Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the
You've explained so much happening with Twitch, no one seems to be saying, yeah.
rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor.
I will say, YouTube is stricter than Twitch in that regard, significantly still. Like if you said something that's like super TOS on Twitch, you would be at the mercy of someone reporting it. YouTube, when you upload a video, converts the audio of the video to their best version of text-to-speech, and then runs it through their algorithm to see if you verbally said anything that's TOS. And then if they're unsure, the video will start off demonetized until a human reviews it. And then they don't... If they review it and say it's fine, it's not like you like would make up loss of ad revenue. It just begins gaining ad revenue after it gets approved. Anything in between was just like, well, fuck you.
Scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold.
I've only been like algorithm tagged on one video though, and it was for music, so.
Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful.
It was a very
Every
short
time
clip
you
of
level
music
up, they
too.
get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear.
Like, the thing is though, YouTube kind of has to do that. Because they've had problems in the past of like straight basically terrorist accounts, or like, you know, the worst shit ever, like child porn, whatever, like where people would upload it to YouTube on like a bot network, and then the accounts would get banned instantly, and then they would just come back with like an endless river of brand new 1 minute old bot accounts. And it's like, how do you stop that? And the answer is you have to pre-scan the video before they actually can be viewable from someone else. So they've kind of been forced into that corner.
If you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment.
Oh, what was that big node? Hang on.
Gold is also used to respec
Dude, is the hooded one with us the entire campaign?
your passive skills.
Melding is looking pretty good. As long as your mana isn't malding.
Take advantage of this system to experiment with your
15, 40. 70% for 3 points. Oh yeah, this was the 2915 someone said to pause. Holy. Reduced mana? Dude, that's fine. It's not less mana. If an item in a grinding gear game says reduced, it says nothing. Alright? You know how Devoto's Devotion has 10% reduced physical damage? It's not even a real mod. It's just free.
And rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable.
For those of you who don't understand the difference in wording, perhaps you're new. If I have 100% mana, because I'm a normal thing, and I get plus 400% mana, now I have 500% mana, okay? If that node says 10% less mana, now I have 450% mana. If that node says 10% reduced mana, now I have 490% reduced or percent mana.
Never bind anything to your character except gold.
Pre-install 3 flasks, it's life, mana, and then the charms.
Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can
This was really bad. This is a Valdo's map mod that came out in Affliction League. But in the Valdo's map mod, it's randomly between negative 50 and positive 50. It might even be action speed, not movement speed. And every time you get hit, it resets. And they decided to make that a pair of boots.
dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character. Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode.
That's such a dumb... Ah, I hate that name. Corpse Wade. You're just waist deep. You got the mud overalls on.
Into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes.
I really, really hope that this isn't a good item. Because if this is a good item, it means movement is so restrictive that people actually use this chest just for a smoother movement experience. So I pray to God that this is not considered a good item, because that's dire if that's the case.
And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed.
It's interesting it specifies arrow speed and proj speed differently. I guess just to prevent, like, Quill Rain Spark, you know?
Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use
Such
at
a
any
dumb
point,
looking character.
even if you find them early on.
That's some pretty sweet looking gear. That's some really sweet looking gear, let's be honest. Those boots have, like, lion heads on the knees. Like, yeah, those are some badass boots. Grinding Gear Games, as a company, does not do pants. The chest is okay. The helm is, like, functionally terrible because you're blind. Weapon head looks pretty good. Handle not as cool. But, I mean, look, I kind of like the tree root look. Maybe it's cool.
And as you can see, every single
Definitely the best looking set of all of them.
unique item comes with custom art to match. The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension.
All boots will have a 3D pant model in PoE 2. Looking. Alright, let's judge. Good, like, slight abs, I guess. This is the Sorceress. Is that what this is? I actually don't know. Sorceress? She's not the Ranger. I promise I'm not just sexist and think all women look the same. Hey, isn't that the exact opposite of being sexist would be?
The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension.
I'm pretty sure that's the Sorceress.
Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of early access...
Dude, I'm just sad there's one called the Titan, and it's all, like, stun. You got Jaime Lannister, who, unlike losing a hand, like the real Jaime Lannister, when he ascends, he loses an eye.
Only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are
Blue eyes and white eyes. These look wildly different face structure. Like, I could believe these 3 are all the same person. I can believe these are the same person. These 2 look like cousins at best. Like the 2 cousins at Thanksgiving that look the least like each other. The fuck is she doing?
unique to each character
She looks revolted.
class, so choose wisely.
Like, look at the chin difference, alright? That's a manly chin. This is Mathel with short hair. This is like if Dudley from Harry Potter was a femboy. And I don't even know what this is. These do not look like the same facial structure at all.
They can drastically affect how you build your character.
The first 2 all look like, I guess you can't see the
As
face
a
on the
sorceress,
Gladiator
you could
one.
become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned. each
Updated
time
for
you do a
modern
critical hit with a
audiences.
spell.
For this to be any good, this Elemental Storm ability would have to... Here's the problem in PoE 1 with all the abilities like this. Whenever there's an Ascendancy or an item that says, grants blank skill, it's automatically garbage if it cannot be supported by gems. Like, grants Whispering Ice is good, because it's a 7-link. The Doriani's Fist can be good, it's a 5-link though. But, like, triggers something on hit is always bad, because it's just a level 1 unlinked skill. They can be supported? Oh, that might be good then. Okay, yeah, if this can be supported, and you can, like, 6-link this, then yeah, this has potential. Ascendancy skills can be supported. That changes a lot, actually, because, like, that's an entire design vector that's dead on arrival that now is actually meaningful. So that's actually a huge change.
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage
So Restoration, 2 shocks. That's fine.
types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time at...
Thematically, this one looks the coolest by far. Broken-wise, I'm pretty sure that Dark Monk has the most broken stuff. Just raw endgame might, the Gem Mercenary's probably still the strongest, but without the Dark Monk doing broken stuff. But I'm pretty sure the Dark Monk will do broken stuff that goes over the top, just based off what we've seen so far.
Self. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze.
Here's the thing, alright? This is cool as fuck. But is kind of garbage for, like, an actual endgame character. Like, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna be blasting through some, like, Delve 5000 sideways Atlas map? And you're just gonna, like, pause and be like, everyone stay still. Okay, now I'm gonna one-shot you all. Like, you know, like, it's not... This is a cool gimmick, but it's not an actual good skill for a character to use.
Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities.
Oh yeah, I suppose you could use, like, increased duration and, like, increased AoE if it can be supported by gems now. That's true. I mean, that still doesn't change that first principle, but that does make it more powerful. There might be, like, some weird bossing build where it, like, really cheeses some boss fight. Like, to use, like, a PoE 1 analogy, like, maybe you can just go into Eater of Worlds on a high DPS build, freeze them, and then just kill them before they get unfrozen. Like, maybe that's, like, the go-to glass cannon boss killer.
Using temporal...
Time frozen does not take dot damage. I suppose it is damage over time. Yeah, the visuals is good with the hourglass.
Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back
This
to
is
what it was.
Temporal Rift is in PoE 1 and does exactly this. and it's super garbage and no one uses it because of how clunky it is to use. So it's a cool gimmick, but this is even less, by far, practical than the time freeze.
Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns.
It's great and ruthless. I guess in an environment where your recovery is very, very low, then yes.
Spells again.
Life stacking witch with 10% spell leech? Dude, I want to do that, like, crit multiplier per 20 life thing.
On the warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the...
Alright. Realistically, what percent body fat are we talking here? Like, I think the armor is, like, not doing him favors. Because it's concave, shield dome. So he's getting the beer gut look, like, undeservingly. But he's not skinny. I'm thinking we're talking like 24-25% here.
The Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power.
Like, maybe not
Using
offensive
artsy
lineman
claw,
level, but
and
like
summon ancestral spirits linked
tackle
to
or
each of your totems.
somewhere between tackle
With
and
Jade
defensive end.
Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode
Strawman builds like 25.
enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
Looks like an NFL lineman to me. I've got examples that would point otherwise. Dude, he is hella thick. Dude, Will Fork is so big. Holy fuck, he's so big. He's retired now, I'm pretty sure. I know it's disingenuous that I'm immediately going to the fattest guy. Oh god, Will Fork is just so fat.
The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earth
Titan
Breaker,
sounds so
every
cool,
slag
it's
is a
so
chance to
lame.
create
This
an
is so lame.
aftershock. With
Stuns
crushing impacts,
with
every hit
chance
becomes
to
a crushing blow,
aftershock, not
which
even
will allow you to
guaranteed.
stun your enemies with ease. With surprising strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing
There
you to
shouldn't
stop
be
wasting
fat
all those
people in
passive points
games
on
unless it
accuracy.
makes sense. I bet, you know, Faustus is in pretty good shape, but Faustus could be 400 pounds. It would not have any adverse effects on his job. Kadiro is all of what I just said.
Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one...
Yokozuna is a great character in WWE games. You know who's great in WWE?
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies.
That makes skeletons bleed.
The Witch can ascend into
Bone
the
marrow
Infernalist
seeps out of the
or
bones.
Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking...
20% damage from is taken from your Hellhound's life before you. That's really good defensively if the Hellhound doesn't die. The problem with these mechanics in PoE 1 is the way minion survivability and player survivability has diverged over the years. It is much, much easier to make a character survive an environment that a minion just cannot survive. So, like, a low-ish ratio like this is okay, probably. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like always bad, because if it's a low percentage, then it's not doing much, but if it's a high percentage, the minion's going to die. The good news is here that if it's like the normal minions they described in PoE 2, it should respawn after it dies, which means this is like a fluctuating buff that like sometimes it's alive and you take 20% less damage, and then sometimes it's dead and you take full damage. But like defensively, that's not very good because if you have a build that takes 20% less damage half the time, you gained no net max hit or survivability. It just means there's like a couple deaths you would have not had, but doesn't like increase the range of things you can live consistently.
Taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into...
Alright, this is the one I saw originally where I'm just like, what is going on here? Is there potential abuse? And it went too fast to really take in. Also, that is a sweet looking globe. Is the gold spirit... That looks sweet as fuck. Is the gold spirit? We lost our globe girls and we got globe guy. See, my thumbnail is globe girl. Now we have globe guy. Maximum mana is replaced by maximum infernal flame. Gain infernal flame instead of spending mana for skill costs. So when you actually use a skill, you don't spend infernal flame. You gain it. You don't spend any mana whatsoever. None. You could have 0 mana. If it costs 50 mana, you spend nothing, and you gain 50 flame. Take maximum life energy as file damage when infernal flame reaches maximum. Okay. So if you have 500 mana, you get 500 max infernal flame. You spend 50 every spell. You keep gaining 50. And then when it gets to maximum, you take 500 fire damage. That is an insignificant amount of damage. Unless you have like a bigger mana pool than life pool. Which, the whole point of this would be, it's like a pseudo blood magic that you can mitigate with fire res. So it's just better blood magic. This is just better blood magic. If you're playing any skill that has a good life pool or decent fire res, you can just have like 0 mana. Maximum mana is replaced by maximum infernal flame. Maximum mana. So you just get a shit ton of life and no mana. Like, let's just use like PoE1 numbers for an example. Oh, max... Wait, okay, never mind. I thought it... Okay, yeah, you're right. I thought it said you take the maximum... Okay, shit. Damn it! The thing is, that's still not that much. Because, like, a character with 90 fire res and 6k life is just taking a hit of 600 here. Is that a big deal? It just removes the synergy of having, like, low mana to get around the effect. So I guess now mana still, like, is actually just irrelevant still. No, it's still relevant, because you take the hit less frequently.
Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells...
I think it is still a better blood magic, assuming you have any fire res whatsoever. Or if there's, like, cheese mechanics... where you can get, like, some recoup or something.
The flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure...
While not on low Infernal Flame. Okay, do we know for sure what low is? Because in PoE 1, for the longest time, low was 30%. And then about 3 years ago, they changed it to 50. So is it still 50 in PoE 2? 50 makes more sense for, like, new players trying to understand the mechanic to just make it half. 30 is, like, an obscure number that you'd have to explain to someone. All damage from you and your minions contributes to Ignite chance and magnitude. What's the difference here? Oh. Wait. What does it mean Ignite chance? Like, the magnitude part makes sense. If you do lightning damage... and all damage can ignite, that's magnitude. What does it mean, chance? Bigger hits have higher ignite chance. It's like reverse armor. Or like kind of like armor you know, less effective against big hits for the opponent. Okay.
Sure, you keep the flames topped up.
There's potential
While
here.
your infernal flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your...
Oh, 30. He even says 30. Wait, is that confirmed then that 30 is low? So they changed it from 30 to 50 in PoE 1, and then they're back to 30 now. Because, like, it literally says just low infernal flames, and then he says 30.
Sure, you keep the flames topped up. While your infernal flame is above 30%...
Yeah, so low is 30 in PoE 2. Huh.
all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform...
Which is better for that skill, because in theory, if you're spending fast, that means you'll be above it, 70% of the time instead of 50, if it's like a normal distribution. You can have a high cost skill to set the Infernal Flame high, and then a low cost for the Ignite. Yeah, if you're trying to get to 100%, but like if you're just uniformly spending, it'll be up 70% of the time.
Into a literal demon.
It's actually a little bit more than 70% because of the degen. Like, if your spell, just use an extreme example, spent 30, let's say you spent 40% of your mana, like, immediately you'll be above 30%, and then let's say you lose 10% in the time it takes you to cast another spell, then you cast it again, and you go from 30 to 70, and then back down, and then you cast it again, you don't quite go over 100, and then you go back down, and then you cast it again, and then you go over, and then the next cast you're immediately, like, because it degens, you could probably be like 80% uptime.
While in demon form, she takes an increase.
You don't degen while casting. Okay, never mind.
Cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well.
So call it 70%
if you're planning
uptime.
on transforming into a demon.
Wait. Okay, demon form. It doesn't say what it does. But he described it out loud.
But her cast speed and damage increase. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage.
That is very important wording he just said. He did not say takes increased damage. He said increasing damage, which means it ramps over time. If it was increased damage taken, but then you get like cast speed and damage, effectively you have Aspect of Carnage, which is the Berserker Ascendancy, right? Like, that's just Aspect of Carnage. Like, that can be good. But increasing is far worse, because you have to babysit that, and it can get you killed. Unless there's a cap.
But her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well.
Okay. I'm going to walk that statement back, because it sounds like the cast speed and damage also proportionally increase to your increased damage taken. Okay. I'm listening.
So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage.
You don't need recovery, you need max hit.
Master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana. But in exchange, every blood mages must become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood
Skills gain a base life cost equal to base mana cost. That is a lot. No, I read that really wrong. Never mind. That's actually like free. Never mind. I for some reason I read that as you gain a life cost equal to your maximum mana, which is not what that says. That's free as fuck.
blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana. But in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
I'm not gonna run around picking up health globes. I played Diablo 3 already.
With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. And with Vitality...
Okay, this is maybe really strong, because remember, I doubt there's many sources of spell leech's life. They specifically don't add that easily. But remember, in PoE 2, life leech is uncapped. No cap. So, if a normal person has 3% leech, and they're leeching 20% per second, and then you sprinkle on 10 more, and now they have 13, now they're leeching 83% per second. Uncapped. That's kind of insane.
Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech.
It's not instant. It's over 1 second as a rolling window. But 1 second is a very short duration, and it's totally uncapped. So if you're doing a sustained amount of damage, the rolling window will just be at like 80% regen the entire time.
Back as well.
So it's basically effectively instant leech with 1 second of ramp.
Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore.
See, like, this looks so broken to me. Especially if crit multi is easily available and crit damage is not. This is like the most broken shit ever. Even 2k life. Even 2k life, this is double damage. Even 2k life, where you otherwise have 100% increased crit damage elsewhere, so you're competing with those diminishing returns, this is still 50% more damage for a 2-pointer Ascendancy.
Spike.
And realistically, if you're playing this build, you're probably going to life stack and have, like, you know, I guess we don't know numbers for sure, but we've seen some numbers on gear. I would think a 10k life build is within the realm of possibility. Unless there's 0 life on the tree, then maybe like 3 to 5k is the max. I would assume it's current life, actually. No life on tree. Is there percent life anywhere? Because there's percent ES on tree. There's a 3-point node for 70% on tree. And I think maybe int still gives percent ES. So if there's no percent life on tree, unless the life rolls are colossal, that means you're going to have characters with like 5 times as much as ES as life. Unless strength now gives percent life, maybe. That would maybe balance it out. What do you think of Titan class? Thematically sounds really cool. Gameplay-wise, looks really garbage because it's a class centered around stun. So, no thank you.
To make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the element.
Dude, Monk has all the sweetest art. All the good art is Monk. It's just, everything looks so badass on Monk.
This might become an invoker. With elemental expression, the invoker.
Okay, once again, I first read this during the live trailer and immediately wrote this off as garbage. But now, knowing that skills granted by Ascendancies can be linked with support gems, I'm automatically not going to write off any of these skills. Because we don't know the number, we don't know the base damage numbers, the radius, the targeting, the smoothness. So automatically, any ability granted by an Ascendancy could be broken. Boy, it's going to make me go Titan? Fuck. Titan looks great. Titan, I really want to play Titan.
Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield.
What does that mean? Oh, like you can't recover that high, but it's like a short guard skill.
With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield.
So when you're about to tank the memory game, you gotta meditate for 3 seconds. 20k ES becomes 40k, GG noobs. Yeah, that was a really long channel time. That was like 3 seconds, no way. Yeah, like, okay, here's the thing. This is a character that already has 2100 life. What level do you think this character is? They currently have 2 Ascendancy points allocated. And it's hard to get much other information from this, but I'm going to go out on a limb and just guess this character's about level 50. So I think it's pretty reasonable that endgame builds will have like 5k plus life. And a build actually stacking life might be able to get to like the 10k ballpark.
Shield. Choose between I don't think
meditate will be broken unless you can like scale it with, I mean, Once again, you can apparently... Like, could you link faster casting to it, for example? Is it a cast time? Like, can you, you know... If you could speed it up, maybe. Cast while channeling, start raining bells. Yeah, you have to do something like that to make it good, probably. Effect E-Blade. If there is an Energy Blade... No, because Energy Blade's based off maximum. Not. This does not increase your maximum, it increases your current.
Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you
As opposed to a bound avatar? What does that even do?
apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead.
Okay. This is the one that looks pretty broken. So I'm going to look at all these notes. This is the... I have like a, you know, like a red flag radar. And most of the stuff I was watching up until this point was just like flatline, like beep, beep, beep. And then when they started showing this guy, it started going wild. Beep, 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 beep.
The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness.
Alright. Remove all spirit. Base maximum darkness is 100. For each life or energy shield lost to damage, reserve 1 darkness instead if possible. Darkness reservation lasts for 10 seconds. Plus 5 to maximum darkness per level. Okay. So, a level 100 character will have 600 darkness. Now, it probably is not very hard to take 600 damage. So, if you take a 600 damage hit to your life pool, it will reserve 600 darkness, and the reservation lasts for 10 seconds. What happens when it goes over 100%?
A resource
Because that would not be hard at all to go over 100%.
that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal... Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take...
Gain 1% of damage as extra chaos damage per 20 unreserved darkness. Okay, so at level 100, this is 30% of all damage as extra chaos, assuming you're not getting hit. But, like, 600 darkness... Okay, 600 darkness is pretty hard to protect.
Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their dark...
Chaos res is doubled. Plus 10 to maximum chaos res. This is really strong. But... Like, chaos res doesn't protect your darkness, right? Like, there's no synergy there. It's a really low amount. To, like, it is basically Dissolution of the Flesh. But it's a 10-second duration. And... like, only a 600 maximum. 10-second... Like, technically, it's not a skill, so you can't support it by, like, less duration either.
Pact offers greatly increased resistances to...
Wait a second, wait a second. What point is this? Is this the first point? Do you have to take this point in order to take any of the others? Is this like some mandatory first point? Like, does basically every Ascendancy start off with point 0? That well, not everyone, but like, do ones like these start off with a 0 point that you literally cannot not take this point? You have to take this point for 0 points? Because that's what I'm interpreting here.
all damage
Because he only has this one allocated.
incoming. But if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact
Because Sheila's gift is really good.
offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their
That can be really good for Mind Over Matter. Hold on, let me check some wording here. 3610. Wait a second. No shot this works. No shot. Alright, everyone get your snitch. Everyone get your snitch hats on. There's no snitching for the next 30 seconds, okay? For each life or energy shield lost to damage, reserve 1 darkness. Doesn't say anything about mana.
Of darkness. Extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their dark.
Mind over matter is 100%. And then instant leech for mana.
Pack.
And remember, where's mind over matter?
Changing, which allows you to wield use a two-hand for your life pool.
Remember, all damage is taken from mana before life. Okay? The downside is 50% less mana recovery. Remember, 50% less mana recovery does apply to Leech. Leech now is uncapped, but it is a rate over 1 second. So 1 second uncapped Leech means you would still leech half as much with this. At least in PoE 1, instant leech does not respect recovery rate.
Increased resistances.
It bypasses it.
And can allow
because it's not an overtime effect. It's not a rate. It can't get multiplied by a rate when it's an instant thing. So that would make this insane.
Their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but applies to their energy shield as well.
You cannot recharge energy shield. Mana leech effects also recover mana energy shield. Yeah, so like, okay, can you abuse this? Can you go? I mean, if there's Eldritch Battery, if Eldritch Battery exists, then it's over. If Eldritch Battery exists, it's fucking Jover. Cause like you could just get like 3k mana and like 10k energy shield, and double up on the double leech with no cap. Instant with no reduction. Well, but then the ES would apply to the darkness though, which maybe is still fine. Because the ES damage taken would apply to darkness, so then that'd lower your like 30% extra chaos. All right, ignore the EB. Ignore the EB.
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to...
You fuck your max it? Yeah. With EB, well, not really. Because remember, if you're a Mind Over Matter build, you're stacking a lot of mana, okay? In PoE 1, there is not a single life-based mana build, not one, that has less mana than life. Not one. Every Hierophant right now, if you go on PoE Ninja and look up Hierophant and look up only life-based ones, don't look at Pain Attunement at all. Only look at pure life Hierophants. They're all running around with 4k life and 10 to 15k mana. That doesn't mean it's going to be that way in PoE 2, but if there's percent mana on the tree especially, and the items we saw had similar life and mana rolls in terms of magnitude, I would assume you might be able to get more max mana than max life. But it also isn't like CI. It doesn't remove your life. If you, let's even say you can't. Let's even say you only had 4k mana and you had 5k life. That doesn't mean your max pool is 4k. It means you'd get the benefit of the darkness until you took 4k damage through your instant leech. After taking more than 4,000 damage from max that surpasses your instant leech or surpasses it in a single hit, you would then take darkness damage finally. If you go through all 600 darkness, you would then finally be left with your mere 5k life pool. So the vast majority of the damage you take would get completely wiped out by mana leech and your mana pool. Then you'd have a sliver buffer of darkness that you want to try to keep that buff up for the damage. And then if you pass below that threshold, then you just have your real life pool to cover your max hit for like big hits from bosses. I see this. Oh shit. Oh yeah, I mean it's just the stuff that we're pausing over. It's all from the video. Okay. I'll keep that open though. Your mana's darkness? No, spirit, not mana. Because it gets instant mana leech. That wouldn't make any sense if you had no mana.
To see into the domain of the breach demons. There you will see the flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become...
Dude, I'm so helmetist. I saw this Ascendancy picture and thought it was a gladiator. You just see like the profile picture of just their head, and I'm like, oh, that's a gladiator. But I'm a bigoted helmetist. I see that and think surely it's not a range character.
I'm a witch hunter. Obsessive rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against
Gladiator with a crossbow is probably better than normal gladiator.
With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life. And
okay, this is... No, this is not a granted skill. Never mind, you can't link this. It has to say grants blank or triggers blank. This is a passive effect, not a skill that you can link. Never mind. I was gonna say, what if you could just link this with some more generically more damage links and make it like 100%?
damage, if you're lucky.
Wait, hold up.
Your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of
their
life and damage, if you're lucky.
So it seems to me, first off, there's a lot to take in this frame. It seems to me a couple things. First, it is guaranteed. I misinterpreted that first. I thought it was up to 30%. It does seem to be guaranteed. Second, it's 0 to 30 most likely. Because this boss just took somewhere around like 18 to 20% of his HP. So that's definitely not 30%. But based off the wording and what we just saw, it might be 99%, or it might be 100%. And just the quantity is random. So it's like reverse Slayer, but random. But okay. A couple other things to take in. You'll see the hit quantity right here was 261,000. 10 to 30? Okay. 261,000. That would suggest that this map boss has 1.5 million HP. What we do with that information right now, I don't know. But I would assume this character's in maps, based off what I'm looking at. And I would assume that, I don't know what tier this is. This could be tier 4, this could be tier 12, I don't know. But this map boss has 1.5 million HP, based off this. Campaign boss? Oh, dang. If that's a campaign boss, that's pretty dang high. Holy. Act 3 campaign boss already has 1.5 million? Alright, yeah, we're going over the integer cap. No, it's over. That integer cap's getting blown by. There's no way it's 32-bit. Like, for reference, Kitava has, I think, under 1 million HP. Uber Azaro, the level 75 version, has 3.1 million across all 3 phases. His max HP is 3.1 million, so it's just over 1 million per phase on not Merc Lab, on Uber Lab Azaro. Okay? Maybe Act 3 on Cruel. Okay, that would make a little more sense. He's doing, like, the early access playthrough, and he's level 64. So the level 64 Act 3 boss, that would make a little more sense. But, dude, if this is the regular Act 3 boss at level 45, and he's got 1.5 million HP, then, you know, I'm starting to think,
certain skill, your passive tree. One of the new features in Path of
I'm
Exile
starting to
2's
think
passive
all
tree
these,
is that
you know, increased ignite effect, increased ignite rate, damage over time multiplier, fire damage, all 4 multiplicative with each other, crit damage, crit effect. Like, we might be getting some big numbers really early on, the way things are shaping up. So, we might be knocking on the 32-bit door within like 3 seasons, or first season. Could Decimating Strike not be % chance to proc on the first hit and sometimes do nothing at all? The wording he just said would suggest it's 100%. Let me just double check here.
Orb and deal damage. Reward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks.
The Act 3 boss was way lower. Okay, so that's probably like fake Act 6, where it's cruel Act 3. Does it act like Spirit? It's like Disillusion of Flesh or Ward, basically. It's not Spirit, though.
With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and
can deal up to 30%. Okay. Your initial hit can deal up to 30%. I am kind of interpreting that means 100%, but it's not clear. But the can part is the quantity. Like, does it deal 11%? Does it deal 24%? I believe, based off the example and the wording, that it is guaranteed, but it's 10 to 30 randomly. Yeah, if you're lucky. As in, like, lucky would be rolling a 30.
damage, if you're lucky.
Dude, co-op play? What even is this, Mercenary? Co-op play. Hear me out. Mercenary. Slayer. We're halfway there.
Lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them
6
from
mercs
casting
in one
spells
party.
as often as they would
Yeah, but
usually
someone's
do.
gonna get the first hit first.
You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh.
So he didn't lose an eye, he gained a gem. Okay. Is this 3 total gems total across all slots? Or is this 3 main skills that can all get 5 supports? Three main skills? That's insane.
Integrate Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Legionnaire, as often as they would
Oh, it
usually
did!
do.
It did! Look!
You could also
Look at this monster.
choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire.
Yeah, it cast, like, Incinerate after it died. That's probably not a cast. It's probably an on-death
As
effect that
often as
looks
they
like
would
a
usually
cast.
do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh.
It doesn't say where in your flesh. You see one in your eye clearly. The other 2 are open to interpretation.
Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological
+1 max cold per 3 blue support gems socketed anywhere. Okay, just for reference. You get 6 gems, right? 6 main skills. You get 3 extra with this guy. You get 5 supports. That means you get, from this node, assuming you hit the rounding points, 15 max res. But you get a little bit of agency over which res it is. I mean, you're still kind of at the mercy of having to use good gems, obviously. But, like, just as a normal example, this is approximately, +5 max all res. That's insane.
Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems. Adaptive capability allows you to use any color
This is, like, super lame, probably, but maybe not.
of gem without worrying about attributes,
You definitely won't take that one.
while crystalline potential adds
This has some potential. Also, never mind. Okay, no. This isn't as good as I thought. It's not supports. If it was all gems, this would be insane. But okay, once again, I don't know how good support quality is in PoE 2. I don't know, I guess, but using a PoE 1 mindset, 12 all quality would be insane, but 12 of only main skill is probably not as good. This is probably like the third best option. You're taking this 4 down the line immediately. This is like the best shit ever. The attribute requirement is super lame, and then this is like mid, maybe.
Extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your...
And it's a 4-pointer, yeah. Single by true stacker can use all color. It means you probably get 100% on an attribute. Yeah, but like, that would mean that it's actually challenging to get enough attributes to satisfy gem requirements, which we have a passive tree that lets you dynamically change what skills are granted, or what attributes are granted by each travel node. So that would only really matter if your requirements are either absurd of all three, or you're trying to stack one attribute and you're playing a stacker. But I tend to think Mercenary will not go down the stat stacker line because it doesn't have any synergy. Mercenary will get its effect by passive skills, like skills that do something passively, but just require you to commit sockets.
Your character.
That's not like an in-stacker build,
So
you know?
those are the Ascendancy classes for the...
In-stacker goes all in on one main skill. Or 2 or 3, whatever, with the more dynamic gameplay. It could be either way, but...
start of early access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
More spirit needed?
Ascension.
Okay, probably true, because most passive buff skills require spirit to do anything. Most. But I'd have to see the full, like, gem list to see if there's skills that can do something passively that don't take spirit. The triggers all do, the auras all do, but, like, I'll give an example, okay? Hammer of the Gods is a skill gem we saw teased. It is not a reservation at all. It deals 2,000% weapon damage, has a big radius, and it's just a big fuck you hammer. The drawback? It has like a 30-second cooldown that only it has. So it's just your ult ability, right? It's like you go to the boss and you use your ult. There are other skills like that though, and they don't have a shared cooldown between them. They have independent cooldowns. So in this case, you could have a build that ran like 7 of those skills that all have like 30-second cooldowns. The only thing is you have to commit a 6-link to this passive 30-second cooldown. That's just a big fuck you button. And it doesn't take any spirit at all. And then you go up to a boss, and you press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the boss is gone. And I screwed that up.
An engineer, enhancing your ability to skill slots.
Do you want to run a 9-button build? Sir, I have invested heavily in bannable technology known as a popsicle stick, and it can cover all 7 of my keys. No snitching. Remember, that's rule 1 of the stream today, no snitching. Then Chronomancer refresh CD, yeah.
Infusion gives capability allows you to use any colors to every gem sockets. But one thing we have Exile 2 requires completion of one of the place. Ascension and Path of Exile 2 requires
Imagine if you can dual wield attribute stacking 2-hand swords. Yeah, the thing is in PoE 1, 2-handers don't give more attribute stat than 1-handers. So as stat sticks, dual 2-hander in PoE 1 doesn't really affect anything. The only big gap between 2-handers and 1-handers is generally flat damage. There's exceptions like mana, I guess, or spell damage. But, so like, could you be a spellcaster Titan? Or not, it's not even a Titan thing, yeah. Could you be a spellcaster with Titan Grip and just run dual staff? Like, everyone sees that and immediately thinks melee build, two-hander shield or dual two-hander. But, like, remember that crossbow we saw earlier in Act 2? And that crossbow had 81% weapon elemental damage in Act 2. We've seen all the passive tree points that give, like, 10% lightning damage. If an endgame big two-hand staff gives, like, 200% lightning damage, why not just wear 2 staffs? I don't see why you couldn't do that. Demon Transformation would be really good for the original Sin runs. 2 + 5 stabs, yeah. Only sword and axe, really? I'm at 3740.
An upside. A great example is Giant's Blood.
Axes, maces. Oh, man! No fun allowed. Fuck. Why do they do this? Why do they just, like, think, man, Connor's gonna love this. Let's remove it before it goes live. F. Kyoshi with 3 month sub. Dark Monks, worst Ascendancy confirmed. You heard it here. They're staff haters. Publish this, review it on Google, put it on Yelp. Grinding Gear Games hates their staff. Let the consequences rain in.
Any color of gem without worrying about actual character. Talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension and Path of Exile
Double
2
Mjolnir, yeah, if it
completion
wasn't already a one-hander.
of one of the great trials, which you'll find as you
You know, in Avengers, Thor goes from the Mjolnir to the giant axe. Is that a two-hander, you think? Because if we could get a two-handed Mjolnir and have 2 of those.
progress through the campaign.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri
I don't think there's much to review here. This is just the Ascendancy trials. But Endgame has info.
he can tell you all about it.
Speaking of Avengers.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2.
Hi, Mark. Let me make sure I have this crossed off. Yep. Still no bingo.
Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own
Warbringer
progression
looks sick.
system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player
There's
power
gonna be
that
some
can only
like
be
stat
gained
stick
from
weird
that
stuff you can
content.
do for sure.
We are going to be adding a lot
We just
more
need the
over
mod pool
time,
first.
but for Path of Exile 2, we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions.
So this is the start, most likely, based off the icon. I don't think these are towers, though. Or are they towers? No, I think they are towers. I don't know.
Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations.
Dude, people were saying, like, man, I'm bummed there's no delve. The entire game is delve now. There couldn't have been a better result. Dude, I had to keep that one in. I wanted to say that for several days here.
Begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier, which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent.
Have they said the max tier yet? We've seen in this trailer tiers 1 through 5 only. But the Guardian bosses, the 3 that build up to the big boss, had a line of text that said zone modifiers must be 79 plus. So if the campaign is supposed to end at 65, let's assume 66 is tier 1. So 79 would be tier 14. In PoE 1, most Guardian content is tier 14, 15, 16. So that would line up.
Adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map
What are
totally...
these? What are these? I know the banner's hiding it, but what's the 7 buff with 39? Because Flicker Strike now consumes power charges. These aren't power charges, are they?
And we have dialed all the areas in the endgame...
No, those are power charges. These are power charges. What are these?
Feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we...
Oh, he consumed all 7, which made him do 8 strikes. Okay. So it's not consume 1, it's consume all, and then do a sequence based off the number consumed.
Dialed the randomization...
I think we had that gem info already, though. I'm just remembering it now, though. I don't know what this is, though.
Up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious...
What is this? Is this Rage? There's no Rage globe over the life like there is in PoE 1, but it looks like the Rage icon and it's depleting rapidly. He's got 47 here.
Varied and interesting abilities. Depending on
40,
which combinations you face,
then it goes
you
down
might find
rapidly.
some serious challenges.
What is
In order
that?
to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it.
Is this like a Scorch? It's clearly a fire-related debuff. I don't know if it's the Incinerator or whatever Ascendancy. Fire exposure. Okay, so exposure has a magnitude to it as opposed to being just like a flat 10 or 15.
Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can...
I don't know why I did this, but I have to. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I have to do this.
can no longer be run,
To the
and you
5
have
people
to find
that got
another
that.
way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monster.
If you die or use all fails... Someone asked that earlier, if you can fail every map and have a bricked atlas. And God, do I hope the answer is yes, because I'm ready for that Quinn arc. But I don't imagine they'll allow that to happen, because then like a new player could brick their game. But to be fair, if they've made it that far and they're a new player, like new to PoE entirely, that means they're 50 hours in, so...
Monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain light.
I don't know why they had to rename shrines. I think it's because they said somewhere else in this trailer, they called something else shrines. That is not what shrines are in PoE 1. So I think that's the only reason for the name change. But yeah, they have a stupid name now that's not shrines.
Monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire.
What's it actually called?
These are ancient into as you play map. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts.
Precursor artifacts. Bitch, it's a shrine!
These are corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items.
One seems like the ore one gives lightning and fireball. What, the shrine or?
You can also find strong boxes.
It said shrine when he hovered, no shot.
One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the
Right,
artifact,
let's
you will
see
get
it.
a powerful temporary buff. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff.
Ha! Ha ha! Caught! Precursor emblems. Totally not coded and named shrines in our code still from PoE 1. Caught.
Buff. Some of
They
the buffs
can't
make
even
you
get the new
faster,
name right.
others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure. but are
Cotton.
always
Cotton 1080. Let's be
Monsters
honest.
lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it.
God, Exalted Orbs have got to be common if this dude is slamming DD onto a rare strong box.
And the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the contents. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Ball Lightning, I'm just going to say, looks really good. Like, let's even say that PoE 2 endgame gameplay is still slower than PoE 1. I think a lot of people's fears that it's too slow have been mostly dispelled by what they showed today, which is kind of what I was suspecting, and I've said that like many times, that it'll probably be way faster than all the PoE 2's Ruthless crowd thinks. But at least on launch, a little bit slower than PoE 1 is. But for that gameplay speed that they've been showing in all these demos, which to be fair is probably 1 to 2 notches below what like a level 90 or 95 character will have, I'm guessing these mapping characters are like level 80, because what they've shown so far has been tier 1 through 5 maps, so these are white map characters. But for this pace of play, Ball Lightning looks really good. Point in front of you, let it rip, and just watch it mow down. Like that, it looks really good for this pace gameplay.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences.
Much slower because no Quicksilver Flask? Yeah, but did you see the move speed rolls? They said the top move speed roll is either 60 or 65% on boots. So, like, yeah, you lost 40% movement speed from your Quicksilver. Congratulations. It's just on your boots all the time now. Enjoy. Do strongboxes make you not able to leave the area? I'm not sure.
Solidified crystalline
Essence is too good to get rid of.
These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
What is this effect on the monsters here? This is the Divine Shrine logo. I'm guessing it's something that's generated from the skill he's using, but it appears and then disappears and reappears again as he's using skills, and I don't know what this logo
Essence
is.
they drop.
It's clearly on just this monster. It was not on these monsters, so maybe it's a mark.
Corruption. These dangerous monsters
It looks like some mark on hit thing,
can be broken
because it's not on the other monsters, it's just on the one.
free. If you defeat them,
It's just on the main essence monster.
the essence they drop can be used to upgrade
It's the rare mod? Oh, okay.
normal items to
So it's not a mark. Dude, that is some impact. That looks pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. This man has some radius.
magic items
Immortal
with
Call?
a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod.
See, this is a 35 move speed roll on level 65 boots. And that was just like with the random essence hit.
Rarely, essences will also drop
Now, to be fair, they could be higher item level than 65, but most of what they've shown in the mapping gameplay is like tier 5 mapping.
that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding
I think we underappreciate how easy crafting is nowadays. PoE 2 launches without harvest. Essence another, yeah. But like most of that stuff, as far as we've seen, is going to be in the game. What essence tier was that? I don't know. Greater. So just essence must be tier 1.
solidified crystalline corruption.
Regular essence must be T1. And then greater, I'm guessing, is tier 2.
This will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
That is an interesting point, though, because that essence that he used on those boots was just called Essence of Speed.
Example.
So it says upgrades a normal item to magic with 1 speed modifier. So here's the question. Is there no essence? Like, clearly the next clip shows what's called a greater essence. So is this essence mod able to hit every speed tier? And it's just like a shuddering fossil that guarantees a speed mod, but the tier is completely random? In which case it's not exactly how essence work right now in the current game. Or is this how essence work in the current game and it's just obscure wording? And this will hit 35 move speed every time you use it on boots. Because clearly there is a greater essence in the next clip. So, does it just mean it's higher weight to hit higher mods? Or do they actually have an assigned tier like Essence and PoE 1 and the wording's just obscure? Because if that was the lowest tier essence and it hit 35 move speed, oh, if there's 7 tiers of essence, you would extrapolate that to tier 7 is 65. Seems like augmented speed, but like the tiers have to do something, right? The higher tier essence, it either has to be like one of 3 things. It either needs to guarantee a mod, have weighting increase toward higher weight mods, or cut off bottom tier mods from rolling. It has to do one of those 3 things for it to actually do anything meaningfully different than the bottom tier essence.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
We'll see if it gives a description when you mess over it. Same description. Upgrades a magic item to a rare item with 1 cold modifier. Wait, was the other one a magic item? Is that the only difference? Oh, that's super lame if that's the only difference. That's insanely lame if that's the only difference. If there's just 2 tiers and it's just rare and magic. Oh, that's... Please don't be the case. Please.
Since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in... This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second...
Okay, but that is insane though, right? Like, you can hit an existing magic item that you already know has 2 good mods. Maybe you essence one of the mods, and then you can essence it again as a regal. It's a regal essence. That's kind of insane.
Second deterministic mod in your crafting projects.
His current boots are the same exact base, probably because this is a test realm, and he's just spamming the same thing over and over.
Combining these with the currencies that are...
I'm going to assume the plus stun threshold is just like 1-to-1 life.
commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items.
Plus like percent threshold, whatever.
And we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted...
See, like, everything they've shown is white maps. It's like tier 1.
...using your currency items. Adding prefix mods...
New mom is looking pretty good. I have to be careful every time, because, like, earlier I was talking about it, and he moused over it, and I was about to say, dude, mom is looking hot, and I'm just like, wait, fuck, no, let's reword this.
...will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop.
I'm guessing 16 is still the max, but everyone they've shown has been, like, white maps.
...to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider.
They're going to reduce overall number of tiers of essence. Yeah, probably. I mean, 7, technically 8 essence tiers is probably a little bit silly.
When crafting your waystones.
So they're basically like fossils now, almost.
Some
or like
lower,
a harvest
some
slam.
have more magic and rare chests or monsters. Some are more linear.
Hang on.
City, some lower. Some have more magic
Okay, so a level 11 energy shield base has 46. That's pretty high for a level 11 base. Let me look up a comparison. What's a level 11 energy shield base have in PoE 1? There's armor. Hang on. Silken Vest is 30 to 38 energy shield. Requires level 11. Not that much. It is higher, but it's not that much higher.
Magic and rare chests, or monsters. Some are more linear and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can
Dude, is this Kirak now?
as you
Is this new Kirak? Dude, did we lose Kurt Russell from, like, an Apocalyptica extra? That's not a good trade-off, in my opinion, but...
cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas
Doriani? Freaky Kirak?
in the endgame. You could increase the number
Refund
of
Alice for
monsters,
gold? Honestly, unless... Well, it depends... I think... Maybe I'm viewing it in a different lens, because this league had direct monetary value for gold with Calgar, with King's March. But unless you're drowning in gold, I think you're going to try to opt to not... Well, okay, unless it's only gold, then it doesn't matter. Then you have to use gold, I guess. Yeah, if there's no regrets and unmaking orbs, then I guess you just have to.
the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world...
Okay, I'm curious if terrain has any effect. They never, I don't think, touched on this, but, like, clearly all these nodes exist in some type of terrain. These are in a forest. These are on a beach. These are in water. These are in mountains. I wonder if that's just purely aesthetic, or if there's actually any properties derived from the terrain that the map sits on.
World map.
Like, can I only get tropical map over here? Can I only get canyon over here? Can I only get beach over here? They are actual biomes? Oh, that's cool, then.
You'll notice various different biomes. From
Oh. Alright, I'm just gonna let the man talk.
snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of raid class, and have specific things to discover. These
Dude, can we just take a moment to appreciate that this city was constructed by whichever these two groups of people were? Two probably very war-oriented fractions worked together to build this city. They've achieved so much more in this, like, war-driven civilization than we can even. That's impressive.
cities are constructed by different peoples of raid
I
class.
don't even know who these are. This is, like, Einhar's people and, like, Kurgal's people were just like, let's make an Arby's. And then they did it.
And have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. Structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps
These can have, so they can have up to 3, it looks like.
you'll work out how to use them later. You
Oh,
might
they
find
just
unique
traded
maps
slaves
like
to build it. That makes more sense. The fog looks cool.
Untainted Paradise and
I wonder if you can zoom. They were talking about how the fog is 3D. Like, I wonder if there's only this top two-dimensional view, or if you can actually, like, pan in and out through, like, the range of motion that PoE has. Like, that'd be even cooler.
might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts.
You know, the fact that every player has their own randomly generated atlas, I'm actually kind of excited to see people who just post the wackiest stuff possible just through sheer astronomical odds. Because that's always fun to see in Delve, when someone just sees the weirdest thing ever. Like, of all the people delving deep, someone will just post a picture of, like, 7 alls on one screen, and it's hilarious. Like, I wonder if we'll just see people who post just, like, they just scroll, and then it's just, like, 5 screens of only beach.
Find unique maps like Untainted Paradise and
If you use comma or a point, you can go back or forward 1 frame in YouTube. No shot. What? This is the most powerful information anyone's ever given me.
Disturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his
Hey, it's
retirement who
Maurice.
will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would
You get 4 section slots here.
make a good spot to set up camp. Clear
What's the player icon here? What's
In
this
addition-
icon? What is this? Is this just like this looks like the generic logo to like invite a player to your party in any game? But is it just supposed to be one of these? Like it just happens to look like the blank profile picture? Like these obviously look like some faction, but this is just like it looks like some invite player button.
you can find special
Current
areas
location? Oh, that makes too much sense, yeah. Oh, because he's about to do the... I assume that the character is at the center of the viewpoint, aka he's here because that's where the camera's centered. But he's probably cleared up to over here, and now this one gives him the hideout. Okay.
that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can
But yeah, last map you did, yeah.
decorate your hideout as you see fit.
Completed nodes are also lit up. So, like, these 2 are completed, but this one isn't. So he came in this way, or this way, and he beat this, this, and this, and now he's doing this, but this one is incomplete.
Special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to join you there.
He's got dual curse, by the way. I just want to point that out.
You,
Look at this.
you can decorate your hideout as you see fit.
Is this blasphemy? It's hard to tell, but there's clearly temp chains, and is that enfeeble? It's hard to. I think it's enfeeble, but like he's got temp chains enfeeble,
And invite
and it's immediately on this monster. So it's either blasphemy or he's got some crazy active on hit thing.
various
Let's see how fast this guy gets temp chains enfeeble.
NPCs
It's blasphemy. It's immediately when he crosses that radius. It's flammability? Okay. I guess temp chains flammability makes sense for Ignite build. Profane proxy? I doubt that just some, like, somewhat meta PoE 1 unique is the cause of this, but maybe.
to join you there to create your own personal base of operations. A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas.
Well, okay, I can see it's a Fire Witch, but, like, Enfeeble is a good curse for everyone. Like, for a Fire Witch, Enfeeble might still be a better curse than Flammability.
Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge.
It might even be, like, kind of worse. You might have, like, 40 fire exposure and not care too much about Flammability.
There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the
Blood
maps in the
Tide
region,
or Hell Tide,
increasing
whatever.
difficulty and reward.
So the yellow line must be what he's actually... Well, okay, no. It says lit... You said lit up was complete, so, like, that would suggest that these are all complete. But why do these have a dotted line? Despite being lit up. These, like, aren't lit up, right? But then these are also lit up, but there's a line between them. So why do these have a line and these are also lit up but don't have a solid line? The light up blue equals can. Okay, so light up yellow means you've done it, and light up. Okay, so this was his path, and because they're yellow, that's on the line. And these are one node removed from the line, therefore they're blue, but they have a dashed line. And then these are 2 nodes removed, at least, from what he can do, so they're both not lit up and they don't have the blue. Okay.
Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the
You colorblind? I am colorblind. I was a first grader. They said, Connor, come take a vision test. And I thought I nailed it. I read every bottom line. And I'm just waiting for them to tell me how good I did. And they said, well, you'll never be a pilot. I said, well, fuck. I better get good at math.
vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter.
I've seen this exact icon, though, on like 50 nodes. Are you telling me that's a boss every time? That's the one I said was like the Kurgal city? Because it looks a little bit like Kurgal. Is that actually a boss every single time? Because if that's the case, bosses are super common from what I've been seeing.
This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and
That was
some
my
of their
childhood
abilities.
dream.
It's worth noting that because you can see where
Being
the bosses are, you
colorblind.
can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the
+1 to level of areas with map bosses. Let me back this up.
that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting.
Okay, that also said shrine. I don't know if they're talking about something else, or if that's literally just the shrine they tried to call precursor something. Okay. Something to take away from this node. Either this is a garbage node that only matters when you're progressing your map tiers up to maximum, because it was like let's say tier 16 maps is the maximum, and every boss you fight is tier 16. Then the boss being higher level doesn't really do anything. If you're doing tier 10 maps, the boss being higher level might yield you a better tier map result. But like, the only way this actually means anything, although does that really matter with like the pathing though? I don't anyway. This would suggest to me that there are modifier tiers on some high level requirements. Either there's like specifically, like we saw 79 requirement for Guardian maps, so it's probably 79 to 81 roughly. If they follow the +2 drop rule that PoE 1 has, that would mean an 81 boss can drop 83 item level loot. So this maybe suggests that there's like item level 84 mods that would only naturally spawn off like an Uber boss or like, you know, some pinnacle boss that like now the benefit of taking this point is that the like regular random bosses can drop that eye level loot either for bases or for mod rules. Because if that isn't the case, then this node doesn't really make any sense existing. And it's kind of like, it's not some minor node like, oh, you would just take this for like slightly better gold. Like, no, it's the centerpiece of this whole wheel. That suggests that this is meant to be really good.
Section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
Which means there is high tier mods then, or high tier bases.
For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1,
there's not too much to take away on Breach, I don't think.
For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2.
I don't see a scenario where this sentence is correct. Just think about it for a second, okay? The amount of juice they've talked about and what they've shown. They even talked about this directly in the interview on, like, what you could do on a map. Like, I mean, this could just be I'm being, like, technical, and they mean the highest level base difficulty. Like, that must be what they mean. Because, like, there's no way a pinnacle boss is as high difficulty numerically as the amount of juice you can put on content. Because we've seen, like, some of the city stuff with bosses that can have 7 overlapping sextants in a corruption zone, that you can roll 6 mods, and then you can add 2 more, and then you can have your full Atlas tree affecting it. And there's, like, 3 other things I haven't even listed yet that they talked about in this. There's no way that doesn't go over the top of what a pinnacle boss is in terms of numbers. Unless pinnacle bosses are just, like, unkillable for, like, a 5th percentile player.
While mapping, you might come across
That's
this
a sweet
fortress
animation,
that
by
has
the way.
emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing some...
These are pretty tall. Like, the little tiny hut for scale is kind of cool. You just got, like, some, you know, single floor beach house here. This thing must be, like, 200 feet tall.
something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers...
Pinnacle Boss has his own tree? Okay, so you're saying that Pinnacle Boss could potentially be juiced as much as, like, a map? So if it has higher base difficulty, it could achieve the higher, like, overall difficulty? I doubt you can still juice as much as, like, some crazy 7 overlap sextant spot.
And tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of...
Those are some sweet looking swords, by the way. It looks like Armageddon from Naxxramas, but like curved.
the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is...
Alright, here's what I was saying. Iron Citadel has the boss logo. Requires Waystone tier 79 or higher. So if the campaign ends at 65, if tier 1 map is 66, that would suggest this is a tier 14 map. Or higher. Craft keys for the Pinnacle Towers? I'm not sure. Maybe. That'd be cooler.
is led by an Uber Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will...
The only thing I'm gonna say is those were like really common when they were just panning through all the Atlas. That boss icon was in a lot of places. Also, this guy must have the double shock node, where it's 50% reduced duration. Is this a 50% exposure? Does he have 76 shock and 50 exposure?
First need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful.
Holy! He's fucking it up too! I mean, look how hard he's hitting this thing!
Fight him.
Look at this hit.
You will first need to
Holy! That's supposed to be like a Guardian boss. He's fucking it up!
defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you...
What's the you died screen?
To kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the...
The screen of shame.
Or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again.
You get 6 portals though. I wonder what the cutoff is for a boss on healing. Because, like, if I'm... Okay, they've said specifically that boss fights will heal if you die. Now, I'm curious on what that actually applies to. Because, like, you know, some maps, the boss is just, like, kind of in an open area. You don't get 6 portals. If you lose a map... You lose a map if you die. Oh, shit, that's awesome. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. So, like, if you kill the monster with a dot, you, like, get the completion, but you don't get the loot, and you just have to move on. Very unforgiving. That's good. Also, He hit this guy for 250,000. Let me check that other clip, by the way.
Boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in
204,000.
order to fight him, you
212,000.
will first need
The number keeps going up, though. Like,
2 lieutenants.
is this like his missing HP? Is this his total missing HP? Okay.
In the adjacent
He
zone.
doesn't have that much HP
Be
then.
careful. If you fail against either of
Yeah,
the
it was a
lieutenants
50k hit
or to
then.
kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it.
Not total, it's a streak. So far, based off proportions, on the fact that this is at half at 214, it's almost exactly half. So you would assume that the max HP is 428k based off this, right?
Just need to defeat their 2.
Now, what percentage does that mean that 277k would be? Would mean it's at 35% HP. Is this boss at 35% HP? I would say so. So maybe that's still true. Maybe it is just a streak, but I would say it's safe to say that this has been a streak from 100% to current, based off percentages.
Lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail
Same with
against
this
either
one. The
of
amount it's
lieutenants
moving is
or to
pretty
kill the
proportional to the
leader,
even
they will
health.
move
So
on,
if this is a streak, it started at 100.
and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber
I actually did it though. It's at 227 here.
or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill
And it's a 254 here. Is that about 10 times? Is that 1/10 of the total bar? Probably.
all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get?
I'm going to assume that the icon for the tree is based off of what the final Shaper type boss is. So I'm going to guess whoever the final boss is looks like some Medusa Super Saiyan thing whose hair of snakes is on fire with red eyes.
Points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.